When I tell you, I literally cut this episode off after the first few minutes because I was like, no, ma'am. Why would y'all do Jada like this? Why are y'all doing this to Jada, Darnell, and Emmett? Like, miss me with it. Why y'all just couldn't let Jada remain carefree, cancer free? Like, I literally do not know what irked my nerves the most this episode. The fact that y'all doing this to Jada or this whack behind baby bump that Tiffany around here sporting because, girl,
What?
welcome or welcome back to my channel Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So I wanted to hop on here and do a brief recap of The Chi season 7, episode 7. Okay, now I am not here for this at all. So the episode starts off with Darnell and Jada. They're having this conversation. Darnell is having this big birthday party. I don't recall what age he is turning. I assume maybe he's turning 50, 60. I don't know, but they're discussing this birthday party that he's getting ready to have. And Jada mentions to him that she has a doctor's appointment. He was like, everything all good? She's like, yeah, it's cool. But unfortunately, everything is not fine. Jada, she's talking with the doctor, and the doctor does let her know that the cancer is back and that it has spread to her pancreas. And of course, Jada is in shock. She was like, but I thought you said I was good. I thought you said everything was fine. And of course, the woman basically lets her know, well, whenever you've had cancer, it's a chance that it could come back. So you're never really, ever really fine. And I'm like, girl, miss me with it. So I hope that Jada does go and get a second opinion, because this doctor basically told her that she needs to get her affairs in order and let her family know that she may not have much time with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's basically terminal. And of course, this is just a lot for Jada to bear and deal with. So Don and Lene, they're at the hospital, just basically playing it by ear, waiting to see what's going on with Jamal. At the moment, he's in a coma. And, Lene, she's kind of lashing out because she was like, if anything happened, my brother ain't gonna have nobody, ain't gonna have no family. And Don was like, I'll be your family. And Lene was like, I don't want you to be my family. Like, nah, I'm not with that. Like, my brother is my family. And I guess you have to look at it from the perspective of, like she said, that that's the only person that she has is her brother. They only have each other. And so now she's in this situation where she could potentially lose him. And so she is just not here for it. And, Don is being very positive, just saying that, he's going to come out of this. Words are very powerful. You have to speak over him, that he's going to be okay and things like that. But Lene, she's really not trying to hear that at the moment. And, she's just dealing with it the best way that she can. So Bakari, he goes to see Nook, and Nook is trying to figure out what his next move is because right now the block is hot. And Bakari, he says to Nook, he was like, I did this for you. I told Alicia where Reggie was, hoping that she would take care of Reggie to get him off your back. But Nook, he, even though he in the streets, he want to be low key, right? We saw that. That's why he unalived that young man a week or so ago, because he does not want flashy. He don't want eyes. He don't want any attention on him. And he's a little upset at the situation right now because of course people are assuming that he's the one who put the hit out on Reg, and he absolutely did not. And Bakar was like, well, none of this would be going on had you not unalive Rob. And he was like, I had to send a message. I had to let him know I wasn't no punk. No, you did not, dear. You could have handled it completely different. But you're sitting here saying you wanted people to understand and know that you weren't no punk, but at the same time, you're trying to move in silence. It don't work that way when you're in the streets, not doing what you're doing. You understand? Like, so miss me with it. So I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but Bakari is literally stuck in the middle. He really, really is. And this conundrum is not going to end well for somebody. Who? I'm not sure. And, I just really hope that Bakari comes out of it because his hands are tied. He's tied to Alicia and he's tied to Nug. And he's tied to Lene. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot. It's definitely a lot. Okay. So the guys meet up and, they talk briefly about Darnell's birthday party that's coming up or whatever. And they get into the whole situation with Jamal. And for me, you could tell that it is weighing down on Shad. He is feeling some type of way because, of course, he was there when everything happened. And also, I keep forgetting the connect between Vic and Shad. Like, they're best friends, and Reggie is Vic's brother. So I completely overlooked that. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand Reggie. Y'all know that. But I completely overlooked that. But nonetheless, they're having conversation at the table. And, Vic, he goes into, I was able to kind of keep my eyes on the streets. But once I ran for mayor, I kind of had to back out of it. But now willing to kind of start back getting in the streets to make sure we keep the streets clean, because they're like, Jamal is one of those guys. He is a reformed prisoner. Okay, like he is a reformed convict. Like he is trying to get his life together. He's trying to do right, and something like this ends up happening to him. So they are all trying to put their heads together to figure out what they can do. And again, like I said, you could just tell it is really bothering Shad. And the guy with the braids, the other guy that worked at Smokies, I don't know his name. I don't like him anyway. But, he makes a comment like, yeah, man, ain't got no problem helping out either. And, Darnell was like, dude, you got to keep your nose clean. You can't be out here in these streets messing up. And quiet as it's kept, neither can Rashad because, Shad has been locked up too. So they all have to tread lightly on the decisions and the moves that they're going to make. But nonetheless, they are all there in support of each other. And they end up, saying a prayer for Jamal. So, honey, we get this moment where Papa is laid back chilling. He's scrolling on social media and he comes across a photo of the pulpit pimp and his little side chick, okay? His snow bunny. And baby, when I tell you the look on Papa's face was like, oh, okay, it's like that. It is what it is. Then we get this Dr. Umar reject guy pop up talking all this, snow bunny fluff or whatever. My whole thing is this: it's obvious who this guy is mimicking. Y'all mean to tell me y'all couldn't get the real Umar Johnson to do like a 15-minute shoot for this particular episode? Like, it's so clear who this guy is portraying. And anybody in the Black community, majority, 9 times out of 10, they know who Dr. Umar Johnson is. And this guy clearly is biting off him. Like, and quiet as it's kept, he did not do that great of a job. Okay.
He has creeped into the master's daughter's bed to make himself feel superior. He has abandoned the Black woman. And when you do that as a Black man, you are abandoning yourself. How can you attend the church of a man who wants to lead his flock with Becky on his arm? You following that? Because I ain't. He can't give me proper wisdom and or guidance if his food ain't seasoned properly.
So Tip got Vic and Nuck setting up the baby room, okay, like putting the bed together and putting up all these things. And of course, the two of them bump heads.
I've been reading a lot of baby books lately.
For real?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just want to know how to speak your language when the baby comes.
You're so sweet.
Nigga, you ain't his daddy. So, it takes a village to raise a child, but you only get one father. Somebody killed his father.
Hey.
So, honey, after Vic let Nuck know, hey, the baby daddy is gone, and I'm like, dude, you're the one who did it, Nuck. So it wasn't anything that he could say. Nonetheless, Alicia, she walks in the room. She kind of is ear hustling again and seeing them go back and forth, having this discussion. And, Tiff, Vic, he walks over and gives Tiff a hug like, I'm sorry, because I guess he's like, I'm not trying to upset you or anything like that. He is just so chill. He's so sweet. I don't know. I would like to see Tiff and Vic get together, but I just don't know. The whole situation is just messy, honey. And Alicia, I don't know. I like Alicia, but I don't trust Alicia. I just don't. So we get this moment where Hannibal goes to see Emmett's brother at Smokies, and he's dapping him up like, what's up? How you doing? Everything cool? Yeah, whatever. So Hannibal's like, where my money at? And the dude is like, what you mean? He was like, you owe me some money. And the guy was like, well, come on, man. We lost that money again. He said, no, I didn't lose anything. You lost money. You owe me 3 rats. And of course, Emmett's brother is feeling the pressure. He was like, give me a couple of weeks. I had that money. I'm good for it. I have it for you. And Hannibal was like, no, you got a couple of days. And you better have all of it. So now this fool and his gambling problem has come completely to the surface. It ain't no longer scratching the surface, dear. It is there. And so now he is in a pickle and he has no one to blame but himself. So the pulpit pimp and Pastor Peen and Papa, they are having a conversation about this social media post that his side chick then posted. And, they are basically letting Pastor Zeke know, like, this is just not a good look. Regardless of whatever your situation is with your wife, this ain't a good look. You run a Black church. Black women, they look at you to be this guy who loves Black women and da-da-da-da-da. So they are trying to spin the narrative, trying to figure out exactly what they can do in reference to this whole situation with the pastor and his snow bunny. Okay.
I want you happy, but I also want to keep our doors open.
Charles, don't act like you don't lust after white women sometimes.
I would never date one publicly.
So you do it privately?
This conversation's for grown folks, youngin'.
Man, I'm grown.
No, you're not.
So this episode, Emmett and Keisha, they are trying to find quality time for each other. You know, Keisha was basically letting Emmett know, I am pregnant with your child and I'm running around chasing the other three. Like, I can't be, you know, at your beck and call and throw my legs up in the air anytime you want me to. It don't work that way. She's like, I'm tired. I'm a mother and, you know, you don't help me enough. So they are just basically trying to find common ground and how to meet each other in the middle where they both can be, you know, satisfied and happy with, you know, with everything that they have going on. So Tiff is in the kitchen having a conversation with Alicia, and it is no surprise that Alicia basically lets Tiff know how she feels. Okay.
Nuck is not allowed in this house
Why do you hate him so much?
because he stole my glory. He killed Duda before I could.
It's probably because you was too busy running your mouth when you should have been pulling the trigger.
You watch yourself.
So Alicia, you know, she basically lets Tiff know, like, honey, I had to get some things off my chest. And Duda was going to hear what I had to say one way or other. Okay? Like, whatever. So they end up getting off that subject. And Alicia tells Tiff, she's like, you know, if you're looking for some male attention, I don't mind you getting it from Vic. And I'm like, hold on, ma'am. Do you not have any boundaries? Alicia is one of those people, if you're living in her house, she feel like she can say whatever she wants to you, okay? I do like the fact that Alicia does not mince her words. She don't bite her tongue. She say what it is. However, you need to have boundaries when it comes to certain people. Tiff is a grown woman. Yes, she is carrying your grandchild. Yes, she is living in your home, but she's still her own person. So I'm like, girl, so the fact that you waving the white flag and saying, oh, it's okay for me to go lay up with Vic if I want some male attention, that's okay with you. Like, no, miss me with it. It don't work that way. And, you know, Tiff, she basically says to Alicia, she was like, Rob was the love of my life. I can't see myself being with nobody else. And I'm thinking to myself, Tiff, you just told Vic the other week that he means a lot to you. Like, girl. And I get it. She's hormonal. She's having a lot of feelings and emotions. But Tiff, you can miss me with, you can't see yourself being with nobody else. Okay.
Oh. That's what you say now.
So Jake and Bakari, you know, they're having a conversation because, again, the block is hot. And Reg is trying to figure out who tried to send him to be on a permanent vacation with the Lord, okay? And Bakari basically lets Jake know it wasn't Nuck. Like, it wasn't Nuck. And Jake is like, why are you covering for him? Why does it seem like you always trying to take up for him?
For my brother.
Nook ain't your brother.
He's your boss.
It's my job to protect him.
I gotta protect mine too.
Do what you gotta do then.
What that mean?
So Bakari and Jake decide they pretty much kind of need to stay out of each other's way until everything cools off. And, you know, once he leaves Jake's place, we end up getting this moment where he goes to the hospital. He has these flowers in his hand and he goes to see Lene. He gives her the flowers. You know, he's there to check up on Jamal. And I'm a little confused with this because I'm like, does Lene know, or does she assume that Bakari has something to do with what happened to Jamal? Because we know that Bakari did give the address information to, you know, Alicia, whatever. But, you know, and then again, it could be Lene is just dismissive because Bakari did kind of choose the streets over her, because we already know that Lene was like, she didn't want him in the street. She wanted him to, you know, not take that path in life or whatnot. And I'm also curious, does Lene know that Bakari has a scholarship and that he's writing? You know, I'm wondering if she knows those things. But nonetheless, she was very short and not so sweet with Bakari when he came to visit her brother. You know, she was very dismissive, and I get it. She's angry, she's upset, and her main concern is what's going on with her brother. She don't have time to play with Bakari, and, you know, it is what it is. So Emmett's brother, he ends up taking money out of the safe at Smokey's. He got the idea from the dude with the plaits, okay? honey, he go drop the money off to Hannibal, and Hannibal is trying to shut him the F up and skedaddle him along. Like, dude, you talking too much, because Reg see him hand him that stack of money. He goes into the whole gambling thing about how he's a gambler and you can gamble and you can bet on this and that and the third, and ends up exchanging information with Reggie. When I tell you Hannibal was like, nah, Hannibal literally was trying to give him the green light to get the heck up out of there. Like, this dude right here is not the one you want to mess around with. But you know what? He gonna have to learn the hard way, and he gonna have to figure out that bacon is greasy. Okay. So Alicia goes and meets up with Judge Gardner, and she starts talking to her and asking her questions about Reggie. My thing is this: why wasn't this your first course of action, Alicia? Like, you literally have friends in high places. She's asking the judge about locking Reggie up. So she's giving him his name and, kind of giving her a little information. The judge is telling her she needs a little bit more information. But my whole thing is, you were so impetuous and so emotional in your decision that you literally went and started blasting people. Okay. That's why Jamal is laid up in the hospital and Reg is around here trying to figure out how he can get to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got all these people at the situation with Nuck. All the streets are just trying to figure out what is really going on. And it has to do with you. You are in the center of it. And it is so annoying that this was not your first response to the situation. Like, why didn't you think to do this in the first place? Now you're trying to clean up a mess, and I don't think it's possible.
Well, I can either kill him or you can lock him up.
Well, that's insane.
Is it?
I'm still a judge.
So the judge is looking at Alicia with the side eye like, girl, are you kidding me? And Alicia basically tells her, she's like, well, you are a judge, so that means you can make things happen. And my whole thing again, why was this not your first response? Why was this not the first course of action instead of you making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings? Thank goodness Jamal is going to be okay. However, you have still caused a lot of mess in the streets. And let's keep it a buck. You are not Betty Right, dear. You are not the cleanup woman. Like, girl, miss us with it. Alicia, she is doing too much. She really, really is. So we get a brief moment, Darnell's birthday party, and, he gives a speech and, becomes kind of emotional and just shouting out his wife and everything like that. And I was like, of course you're going to shout out Jada. And I was so glad she didn't tell him everything that was going on, because I thought that would have been a moment where she was going to potentially tell him about what was going on with her, but she did not. And we also got a moment where we got to see Keisha and Emmett kind of kiss and make up and just basically say that they are going to be more supportive and try to give more time to one another. So we get another glimpse of Dante this episode, y'all. When I tell y'all I like me some Dante, Dante be having me rolling. Oh my gosh. So he's sitting down talking to Reggie, trifling behind. There with his girl, and they're talking about shrooms, discussing shrooms or whatever. And you can tell that Reggie is eyeing old girl or whatever. And she kind of eyeing Reggie too. And I'm like, Reggie is just the type of dude you do not want to take your woman around. Like, he's just disrespectful to the up. Like, he is just disrespectful. Okay. I don't see it for Reggie. Nonetheless, Dante is talking to him about shrooms, and he was like, won't you go get the shrooms? He's telling the girl to go get the shrooms. She's like, I ain't going to get nothing, or whatever. So they just going back and forth. Nonetheless, I guess Dante, I don't know if he's trying to get Reggie in the business. Well, I guess Reggie is trying to get back in the business, but I guess Dante is trying to let him know that shrooms are the way to go. Like, that's something new he may want to add if he's going to be dealing substances again. So, baby, we get this heated exchange between Jake and Reggie, and I was here for it. First of all, let me just say, Jake was giving everybody the business in this episode, okay? I was like, that's what's up. That's what's up, young man. Let them know you are not the 1, the 2, or the 3 through 10. Like, don't play in your face. But he and Reg, they bumped heads, and I was glad that Jake stood his ground. He is tired. He is tired of Reggie running amok. And again, like I said, how soon did he forget what type of influence Reggie had in his life? It's like he just was willing to just watch all of it. It seemed as if Jake was just willing to wash all of that down the drain once Reggie popped back up on his doorstep. But I'm glad he got back over there with Victor, and his perspective is no longer clouded by Reggie's BS. Okay?
You need to lay low.
Ain't nobody gonna try to take my life
and get away with it.
Duda did.
He did, ain't he?
Not because of you.
So Reggie, he ends up pulling up on Shad. He goes to Alicia's crib, and of course Shad is outside, and Shad's like, "What you want, man? I'm not trying to have nothing pop off right now. Like, what you doing here?" And so Reggie basically asks, Shad. He was like, "Is Alicia the one that tried to send me to bed with the Grim Reaper? Like, is she gonna try to finish the job? Like, what is it? What's going on?" And unfortunately, Shad is stuck in the middle. Like, Bakari is stuck in the middle, so is Shad. Shad is stuck in the middle because, like I said, for me, I keep forgetting that Vic and Reggie are brothers because they have so much animosity between the two of them. It's just like, it is what it is. And then you got Vic and Shad, who are very close. At some point in the conversation that Shad and Reggie are having, Shad was like, "Look, when all this is said and done, the only person I got is me. Like, I only got me at the end of the day. So I got to do what's best for me in this situation. Like, I don't want no troubles. I don't want no problems." And, at Reggie, he ends up saying to Shad, and, I will give credit to Reggie, even though I do not like him. He showed a bit of humility when he said to Shad that he appreciated him for looking out for him, and, how I guess him and Vic taught him certain things. And, Shad was like, "Well, we should have taught you better." You know what I'm saying? And Reggie says to Shad, he was like, "Well, you did the best with what with what you could." And Shad was like, "But it wasn't enough." And so again, in this moment, I appreciated that from Reggie. However, I don't trust him. He does tell Shad, like, "You family. I'm gonna always have your back. I'm gonna always look out for you. You gonna always have his back, but would you stab him in it?" You know what I'm saying? Like, Reggie gives, "I got your back, but I'll also put a knife in it." And I don't know how I feel about this interaction between the two of them, because I want to think that Reggie is sincere, but he also trying to watch his back. Like, again, the block is hot, and he is trying to make sure ain't no target on his back. You know what I'm saying? And if it is, he trying to get it off. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this moment, but I don't know. And I don't like the fact that Shad is put in the middle to where he got to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is. So Judge Gardner, she ends up meeting up with the detective, Toussaint, I think that's her name. And she basically lets her know, "If you can bring me Reggie alive and well, I will make sure that your son does not do another day in jail. Like, I will make sure that your son is free." And so the detective is like, "Hey, you ain't said nothing but a word. Like, it's done. Like, I will definitely deliver him to you on a platter, alive and well." Okay. So Emmett confronts his brother because Emmett knows that the $3,000 is missing out of the safe. And instead of the brother taking it on the chin and just being like, "Look, I took the money. I was going to put it back before you found out he was, I owed this dude some money. I ended up losing some money, whatever. I had to pay him." Instead of him just doing that and manning up, he gonna pull the other dude in it, the one with the plaques that work at Smokies, who was cleaning the floors, the maintenance guy. So Emmett ends up firing the dude, and the dude walks up on him, was like, "Man, you a whole punk. Like, why would you snitch like that? Like, you clearly, Emmett's brother is not built for this life. Like, he needs to go sit down somewhere and stay there." And then he also proceeds to tell Emmett that his mom kicked him out because, he started gambling again. So clearly he has a problem. Okay. He has a problem, but it is not up to Emmett or anyone else to solve it. You are your own man, dear. You are going to have to figure it out. And, at some point, Emmett does tell him that he's fired, but after Emmett fires the maintenance guy, he tells the brother to, mop like you on your last leg or whatever. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, but to me, he would not be working in my establishment anymore, like, period. So Shad ends up telling Alicia that he spoke to Reggie. And Alicia is like, "You know him? Or is that your friend?" And he was like, "Vic is my friend, and he's Vic's brother." And I'm trying to figure out, what does Alicia expect him to do? You know what I'm saying? Again, she starts questioning him and, basically talking down to Rashad. And Rashad was like, basically telling her to pause, like, "Hold on." And Alicia was like, "Reggie deserves to be in jail." And Shad says who? And Alicia was like, says me. And Rashad is like, you ain't God. And so they're all up in each other's face. And Shad was like, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm done. And he ends up trying to walk out, and she grabs him. She's like, but your shift is not over. And he was like, what you gonna do? Fire me? It was very intense between the two of them. And for me, I'm wondering, when he did those shrooms and he got to kind of figure out why he is the way that he is, if this is the reason why he is basically being so dismissive of Alicia, or does it have to do with the fact that he told her that he loved her and the feelings were not reciprocated? It's like he has done a complete 360 on Alicia. And maybe Shad ain't hard up like I think he is. Maybe he really don't need the job or the money. I'm just saying, I don't know. But it just seems like, baby, he figured out that love was not being served at the table, and he got his black ass up. Okay. So Tiff and the Bump go meet up with Nook, okay? And they start having just a lighthearted conversation. And I don't understand what y'all are doing with the two of them. Like, I legit, I do not get it. But Nook, he is trying to find peace. He is literally trying to find peace in what he did. But again, a lot of this has to do with the fact that Nook inserted himself in Tiffany's space. You know what I'm saying? Like, his guilt made him make decisions that are ultimately only going to make things worse, potentially worse, between he and Tiff and the rest of the crew. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you got Emmett, you got Keisha. It's just so many pieces in the puzzle, and he's trying to find peace, and I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to come about for him.
You think you always gonna be in the streets?
It's the only life I know.
You could change.
I don't think that's possible.
Anything is possible.
So on his journey for peace, Nook goes to see the pulpit pimp, okay? And he's sitting down and he's talking to Pastor Zeke, and he basically lets him know that he wants to confess to Tiff about him being the one who sent Rob to be on a permanent vacation with Jesus, okay? And, Pastor Zeke is like, okay. And Nook is like, I think she gonna want to unalive me when she found out that I'm the one, that did it to Rob. And Zeke is like, is that really what you think? Do you really think that she'll do that? And, he's just basically asking Nook, are you really ready for this? Is this something you're ready for? And Nook goes and say, well, are you ready to be seen in public with your white woman? And I'm like, sir, that has nothing to do, one has nothing to do with the other. Like, it legit does not. Pastor Zeke's situation is completely different from your situation, sir. Like, one has nothing to do with the other. Okay? But again, he is seeking peace, and how that is going to come about, I have no idea.
For the first time in my life, I'm scared. Me too. Let's pray.
So, honey, while Pastor Zeke and Nook is clogging up the prayer line, Jamal ends up waking up out of his coma. I was so glad that this happened. I'm so glad it did not go the other way, because, again, Jamal did not deserve what happened to him. I hope that he does not have any long-term health issues. And, of course, Alicia pops up, and she's going to take care of all the medical expenses that Jamal has incurred by being in the hospital, as she should, because she is the one who put him there, okay? Her and her emotional thinking and her taking action in a situation that she literally gave herself no time to decompress. She went and she acted a fool, and Jamal was a casualty of that. Fortunately, he survived, and I'm glad for that. However, Lene is not here for it. She was like, I don't trust that lady. And, Don was like, me either. But, these bills are going to be expensive, and we don't know how much longer your brother going to be in the hospital. And Lene was like, nothing is for free. Like, money like that gonna come with a price. Like, don't think that this is it. And I'm like, actually, it should be. Alicia should wash her hands of it, because she is the one who caused the situation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, y'all don't owe her anything, and she owes Jamal. Okay, so hopefully she don't be trying to be no bone collector and knocking on their door to collect anything, because again, Alicia, you were the one who put Jamal in that situation, not him.
Survived it once, you survive it again.
Not this time.
You gotta be positive.
It's about being realistic.
We're gonna fight this.
It's not about fighting it. It's about enjoying the time I have left.
So I don't like this at all. I do not like the fact that y'all will not leave Jada alone. Like, Jada should be left carefree, cancer-free, period. Like, leave Jada alone. I don't like this, but I'm curious if she is going to get a second opinion, which she should. And if the outcome is what the original doctor said, how this is going to affect Emmett and Darnell. You know what I'm saying? How is this just going to affect them as a whole, you know, by basically preparing themselves to, you know, see this life end for Jada. You know what I'm saying? This lifespan for her end. So I don't know how it's gonna affect them. Sidebar: whoever does the music for The Shy, shout out to y'all, because baby, when I tell you the jazz be jazzing, but baby, when I heard Leslie Wilson singing "Wildflower" at the end of this episode, oh my gosh, I love New Birth. Okay, I love New Birth. Anyway, um, I'm wondering if Nuck is gonna actually confess to Tiff about him being the one who sent Rob on a permanent vacation with Jesus. Okay. I am curious. And I'm also even more curious about her reaction, because just stay with me for a second here. Okay. I could be reaching, but I am tall, so I do have that privilege. However, I am wondering if Tiff is going to take the latter and forgive Nuck. Okay. And not only that, if she would keep that information to herself. And this is just a scenario. I have no clue what's going to happen. Okay. But I'm wondering if she will forgive him and keep that information to herself. And if that will cause the whatever fallout is going to be between her and Alicia. Because remember a couple of episodes ago when Tiff was like, it seems like she is almost like preparing not to be in her kid's life almost. And I could be just looking at reading things wrong, right? But when she, was telling her mom and talking to Keisha, like, don't tell me how to raise my child. And when she went to Emmett and she was like, just make sure our son always know I'm his mom, make sure that he always knows who I am and that I'm his mom. And so you got this whole situation with her being pregnant with Rob's baby. And like I said, I like Alicia, but Alicia, I don't trust her. She looked like she would do anything by any means necessary to get her hands on that baby once that baby is here. So what if Tiff ends up forgiving Nuck and doesn't mention it to Alicia, and Alicia finds out about it? Like, we already know she is an emotional person. Like, she won't spare anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if that's the case? Because Tiff, she may find that for whatever reason, she is a little soft on Nuck, right? And so if he does confess to her, which I don't think he will, but you never know. If he confesses to her, she may feel like it is just better for her to forgive him and deal with it, because how it's going to affect Keisha's son. Like I said, there's so many layers to the situation at hand. It's so many people who are involved because of Bakari, because of Nuck, because of Tiff, because of Emmett. You know what I'm saying? It's so many of them. So what if that is the outcome? Forgiveness, and again, Nuck may not confess it to her, but he is at the point of where he is seeking peace. You know what I'm saying? But at what cost? Because he could tell her and she could pull the trigger on him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that is going to be the outcome if he does confess to her. And another thing, where is Phylicia Rashad? Like, I like The Shy, but Phylicia Rashad is my favorite actress, honey. So I can't see her in the trailer, and then she still ain't on the show 7 episodes in. Like, why are y'all playing with us? But nonetheless, I am curious about Nuck and this whole situation, because he, like I said, he is seeking peace. But at what cost? We shall see. Okay. Well, that's all I have for you guys in this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.